Hey, everybody. Say at our church, Heartland Baptist Church in Alton, we are considering, we've been challenged rather, to share our testimony with others, um, thinking on the thought of how Jesus changes everything, particularly this time of year as we're thinking about Easter, the death and the resurrection of Jesus, and what that means for our lives and how it really should mean that everything is different for us. And so, wanted to just take a few moments to share my story. And you know, one of the things I think about is I came to know Christ at 18 years old when I went away to college. Before that, coming up, we went to church and knew the Bible stories. I knew the story of Jesus, and I never doubted whether it was true or not. In fact, I can remember very clearly times growing up where I would even pray asking God for His help. Like a lot of teenagers even had some, there's just some angst sometimes where you're just trying to figure out who you are and you're not always satisfied with life, thinking, oh, life would be better if, right, I had this or that, or this was different about me, or that, things like that. And so I would, I remember I would even pray saying, okay, Lord, help me. Yet something was missing. The reality is, for me, something was missing. um, because things wouldn't change, and I didn't, and something was missing. But when I went away to college, I really, one of the things I looked forward to going to college, because for me, I really saw it as an opportunity to start over, if you will, in life. I was, it was just going to be a fresh start for me, and I had big plans about just having fun, but at the same time, you know, just starting my own life. But fortunately, really fortunately, God had other plans because through the student orientations and other things, I got connected with the Baptist Student Union at Valdosta State University. They were having some events for new students, for freshmen, and so I went to one of those. I went to some of those events, and it was there that I really, my eyes were opened, and for my need to have a real relationship with Jesus. There would be other students who would go up on a stage and share their testimony about how they came to realize that it wasn't about religion, about keeping rules, or even it's meant to be more than just knowing the Bible is true and stuff, but that God desires to have a real relationship, a personal relationship with us through Jesus Christ. And so, I don't know, the light bulb went off for me that I knew a lot of things about God, but I didn't really know Him personally. But I also, was confronted with, as we have to be, sin, and really realizing for the first time that, of course, I knew I was a sinner. I knew I wasn't perfect, and I made a lot of mistakes. But realizing my sin has an eternal consequence, that it's what has separated me from God. And so, even though I had prayed before, there was nothing, there was no real connection with God, and so those prayers weren't effective, because I was missing that connection with God, and it was because of sin. And ultimately, those who perish in their sins, there's an eternal suffering. And so all that, the light bulb went off for me. And as best as I knew how, I remember being in my dorm room, um, and one night, uh, there as a freshman, and saying, Lord, okay, I want this. I want to know you. I want there to be a real relationship and this change in my life. And so, it's just like, Lord, so I'm not sure what I'm supposed to say or whatever, but this is what I want. Would you please come into my life and let's and, and have that relationship? And it really was like, think everything was different, frankly. It really was, just what I was living for changed. The things that I valued changed. I really felt like I was kind of living for the first time, because I had a confidence, knowing that I knew God and that He had a plan and purpose for my life, and that I don't know, it was just an exciting time. And so out of that, I started reading the Bible and had some people teach me how to study the Bible. I got involved in Bible study and more in ministry, and just really saw what life could be like when you know God and just the fullness that it brings. And so that's what did it for me. And I think there's a lot of people when I work with college students. A lot of them come to that same realization that some of them they grew up going to church and things like that, and we're trying to be good boys and girls, right? But realize there's something more, that we're meant to have a real relationship with Christ. And as really that relationship can only be found through Jesus Christ and what He did about our sin problem. So I encourage you to think about that. And hey, reach out if that's something you want to know more about, discuss. Reach out to us. Reach out to me. Let us know. And please consider joining us or some other church on Easter, even though it's online this year, and so that you can come to know Christ that way as well.